Page you on?
That's on page 13.
13.
Aren't you supposed to go in that direction?
I can't help it sometimes.
Well, the Honorable Mayor keeps talking about his salary.
No, it's a great talking point, actually.
Joke point. No.
At every committee meeting, I started out with, we've got a precedent of cutting salaries by 33%.
There you go.
What are you doing?
There you go.
That's all I had under those. So
Yeah.
I just thought I'd just put that in there. So. Then we can go to wastewater.
Page?
Nobody has anything else. That's under enterprise funds and 60.
The mileage I get out of cemeteries is way more than $6,000.
Very good. Very good.
Wastewater.
Let's see. I think it was kind of the sentiment, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, that Mike, you're on to, probably the vehicle hoist needs to go away.
Should we talk about a little bit about why? I mean, it had to do quite a bit about liability. The question is, should we, is that something that our department, our employees should be doing? I mean, if it's simply changing oil, there's plenty of places in town that we can take a vehicle to get the oil changed. Do we need to be doing that? And then especially with the condition of some of our hoists that are in these buildings, that brings up the liability thing. Why are we doing it? So then that brings up the question, do we really want to buy a brand new hoist if we don't want them doing that stuff?
Yeah, I don't like the idea of, us doing a service that, we're saving peanuts on, as far as the oil changes and those kinds of things. In the same token, I don't want them to have an unsafe hoist in there either. I don't know if you take away the old one then or what do we do here? They're also required to be inspected too, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, so who all has them? Rich has one, Public Works has one,
no, they're.
Police has one.
Yeah.
My only complaint is if you think you're gonna save money, if you gotta take a vehicle, you gotta send two guys, or you leave a guy there, and I was just at Total the other week, I had my vehicle worked on, and in the waiting room is the sheriff's deputy sitting there. That's a waste, I think, when we can do it ourselves, when we have a little bit of time on our hands.
I don't like paying other people to fix my vehicles.
Yeah, I know. And we don't use that hoist just for vehicles, we will use it for fabricating metal when we got a big long stick. We'll slide it in there and get up on that hoist so we can work at it. It's a great tool. It's just, it was a cheap Chinese one when we bought it, it's 15 years old and it's showing its use. But I would hate not to have it. But I understand not giving me a new one, but.
I guess what I'm kind of thinking is why don't we just have a hoist in Knipe's building? We take out every.
I don't know who has the newest one. Does anybody know?
Riches.
Rich's is the newest.
Yeah, but still it should be in Knipe's. I get what you're saying. I don't like paying people to do stuff for my own too, but I also know that by the time I buy the oil, have a place to get rid of the oil, get an oil filter, and blah, 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 time, energy, and effort to go down to Quick Lube or Ford or whoever changes my oil for me, I could have saved $28 by going to Walmart and doing all this myself and wasting 2 hours of time. Or I could just go to Ford and drop it off and be done with it. So we can sit here and debate all we want about saving time or wasted time, but we still got the liability issue. Okay? So I'm in favor of saying, okay, if the city needs a hoist, we have one department that has a hoist. Because these vehicles and synthetic oils, aren't they supposed to go 5,000 miles? So it can't be all that often that all these vehicles need this oil changing. So I'm not buying that argument.
I wouldn't go 5,000 on in-town driving.
I get that too,
Okay.
but still
So
3,500.
2 to 3, yeah, that's
Okay,
where I like to be.
so, but my point is we've got 4 hoists. Now, I don't think the cops use theirs at all, do they? Maybe they do, but that's supposed to be the most unsafe one. So I'm still wanting to take it out. And it's nothing against wastewater, because I'm gonna say the same thing to Satel if he wanted to replace his or whatever. I don't think we have, that's not our job. That's not our job.
And we're also members of this community. I mean, and supporting people who do this for a living is part of it. You know, I mean, we started contracting out mowers, people to mow our grass rather than hiring the old guys in the summer. And we have more mowing services in Lamar's now than we've ever had in our existence. And I don't think that's a detriment to the community, you know. So I understand saving bucks. I'm a DIY guy too, I get it. But I think there's some business decisions to be made here, and I think changing our own oil and doing those kinds of things is better left to professionals.
So, question for you then, we got, the ROC just came in yesterday, and we had to plumb the water and sewer for that. Should we hire a plumber to do that then too?
Say what, Rich?
We just got the new ROC in yesterday.
Okay.
We had our electrician to do that, the electrical work, but are we, should we hire a plumber to do the water and sewer?
No, you're the water
Or do you
department.
start stop it? You're saying you don't want us to change, or you want us to hire out to change oil and that? Well, we do brakes, we change wheel hubs on front of our vehicles and that. We're capable of doing that. So where do you want to start stop?
Well, I do agree with Rob here. I disagree with your sentiment. I think you're comparing apples to onions.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you changed in oil.
Well, I think he's,
What I'm saying is, where do you start stop?
well, I think he's talking about on base, piggybacking off of what Rob said, there's businesses in town that do that.
Yeah.
He's saying there's electricians in town, that there's plumbers in town, so how far?
But we do hire plumbers.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Mauser come in and dig shit up for us all the time. And unearth pipes. But I don't think you're comparing apples to apples. Let's stay on target, and that is changing our own oil. You guys are not employed as mechanics. Your people are not employed as mechanics.
One of my guys was, though, he was a mechanic.
Oh, so was Doug.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's not a mechanic. He's my wastewater superintendent. He's not an oil changer.
Okay.
That's where I'm at. And I don't really want to start splitting hairs here. Because of course you're gonna put the skid in. Of course you're gonna do the plumbing. But of course, if you need help from a plumber, you're gonna call him in to help too. I get that. But I don't think you're being fair in the comparison here. Period. I just don't see it.
I on the other hand kind of liken it to when we have the people that are sitting at the fire department anyway, waiting for the next big thing. One of their things to do is mow lawns. When I toured and Rich showed me that they're changing their own oil, I was pretty happy to hear that. I was thinking it's a good thing, you know. I'm not sure about replacing a hoist, but if he's got one, I don't want to tell him not to use it while it's still functional.
Yeah, as long as it's inspected and safe, you know, but I don't know, I think this is a business decision, and I wish I would have been involved before the hoists were bought and put in, but I wasn't, so kind of is what it is. But
And Mark, I totally agree with what you're saying on downtime, but I also know that I'm sitting here listening to an insurance guy saying, you know what, this is not something we want to be messing with. Do you guys use it for your own personal vehicles?
No,
Not at all,
no, my guys know not to use that hoist. No.
okay?
Because does anybody get them inspected?
They-
You guys?
We just had this discussion at our last safety committee meeting, And Scott Knight did make arrangements for a hoists, all hoists within the city to be inspected.
Okay.
And it's going to be done, it's an outfit out of Sioux Falls, I don't recall who he got, but he got it handled and put him in touch with all the various departments that do have hoists.
Okay.
So as part of a safety measure coming from the General Safety Committee, this was a requirement that needs to be done annual, that all hoists are being inspected.
Okay, then I'll tell you what, Doug, I'm not, I hope you understand, we started this by me saying, then let's put the hoist on hold. Let's get our inspection done on all the hoists. Then let's come back with an evaluation next year, and if they say 2 of them gotta go, or what, let's hear what happens. And if I'm outvoted, I mean, I understand your point, Mark, if you can do it yourself, I get it. But I'm just asking the questions, okay?
Liability aspect, Rob, is if they're inspected and they pass, is okay?
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate argument here isn't an insurance argument. I mean, it isn't. It does add liability, I mean, but, I mean, you've got a risky job anyway. I mean, what you're doing is dangerous anyway. Probably the least dangerous thing you do would be change your oil. but
That's our break time.
yeah, right. So that isn't the case here. To me, it's a business decision. I would rather see, you guys are studying experts on wastewater. We can't duplicate that, you know, with anybody else that we have in town, but we could sure as heck hire somebody to change your oil for you. So at a minimal cost.
And also, and I'm just gonna address it, Mark, because I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm not saying it because they're sitting in the room, because one of them isn't, Scott Knight isn't anymore, but Rich and Doug, these guys don't, to my knowledge, have employees sitting around twiddling their thumbs. I mean, we, you know.
No, and I agree, and that's why I was also, like I say at the time, impressed that they're also doing these things to try to save everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, would we be okay with taking that 12 out? And let's see what our inspector who's been ordered already, or he's on, you know, sometime in May, June, whatever, the point is. And then maybe it should go to safety committee and we can evaluate it. And if
Yeah, I agree.
With the direction of, if one is malfunctioning, to replace it, or to look at another option of another hoist in another place.
Yeah, I think that's the time we have that discussion. If one of them's condemned by whatever, now Doug here is saying, he's the only one who said it, he uses that hoist for multiple uses. I'm gonna go both sides of this. And if it is a lift for fabricating steel and stuff and blah, 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 it has other uses, okay, I'm open to that. But yes, I think if they all pass, we just kind of leave it. If one fails, then we.
Do you think yours will pass, Doug?
I think one portion of it won't, but that's the center thing that probably could just get replaced on its own.
Sure.
I don't like the whole design.
So let's pull the 12 for now, if everybody's okay with that.
I'd be okay with pulling it for now, but I'm in favor of them to be able to keep doing what they're doing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit hard when you start saying, okay, don't change your oil, don't do some of that, because you're getting into how they manage their department.
And that's what I do not ever want to do.
Yeah, we don't want to do that, so I would just throw that caution on there.
Absolutely. The flexible hose and fittings and connectors, that's on a reel, right? That's a bigger reel type situation.
No, that won't be on a reel, that'll be long, hard plastic that's
Oh,
bendable, all
okay.
kinds of fittings and stuff like that,
Okay.
6-inch diameter.
The Bobcat brush was for snow removal, right, around the,
Yeah, it was for going down our sidewalks at our plant, it just would have been a little handier is all.
yeah. It's not gonna snow anyway.
a new snow blower.
Do you want to leave the brush?
Do I?
Yeah.
Sure. No, I. I'm actually just trying to move it along.
Yeah.
He was readily okay. It's out already.
Oh, it is, that is right. I was, well, see, I'm blind looking, my bad. It didn't save us a dime to have that conversation. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else in wastewater.
I think it's good.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug.
You bet.
Thanks, Doug.
Oh, 65.
Rich is last.
Yes.
Well, that building can go.
It's already been talked about.
Yes, actually, it has.
Oh, yeah, who wants to talk about that, Jennifer or Rich?
What
It,
page?
it came in higher than what the 195 is.
Oh,
so-
did it? What was
Yeah.
it?
And I would pay that money for myself, so there's, I don't see the city having to do that.
Yeah.
So Rich is suggesting you take out the 195 for that building,
Yeah,
because it came in at what, 250?
yeah.
66, yeah, 66.
I also got a new quote for the pipe cutter, and it went up $2,000, so from 14 to 16.
That's a necessary addition. It's
Yeah,
up to
it's a
16.
safety deal,
Nope, that's absolutely.
yeah. And then I did also get an email the other day stating, basically, since we went over 10,000, that the EPA has caught us. So there's gonna be some more testing, but still don't know what that's gonna be. But basically, when the EPA wants us to do a test for the next thing that they're gonna start monitoring for, we have to pay for that. So I don't know what that's gonna cost, but we will be doing that this year.
Those are additional lead tests, is that what you're?
No, this is, no, that's all guaranteed that's gonna happen, but this is anything that they can dream of that they wanna have a town study, or do test for, pay for it, to see if they wanna make that as a
Right.
requirement. So, that's not.
Sounds like an unfunded mandate.
Exactly.
Is there a schedule out there that says after you get to a certain amount, that
10,000.
these new tests, so have you looked at to see what other cities bigger than us?
No, it's individual, whatever they decide your city's gonna do.
No.
So, I got the email last week, I have not responded to it yet. And then it'll lead me to somewhere else to find out an idea of what that's gonna be. That's not a guarantee. Each town gets their own set ones that they get a test for. So,
What was your thought on the building, $100,000?
195. It went over that, it went over by, it was 250.
Oh, this is the, okay.
That was my guess.
This is an enterprise fund, does not affect the general.
Correct.
Correct.
Right.
And then, if you look at, I mean, before even making any cuts in here, we were looking at, net revenue or a net increase of 161,118. And a large portion of why, we're in the positive on this one is we had some water revenue bonds, that we paid off early. And so the rates were kind of structured for us to have those payments each year. And so not having those payments, the way the rates are structured allows for a little bit of a surplus, which isn't a bad thing at all, especially with
What's coming up?
expenses.
Right.
And there's nothing in this for the RO, for doing this budget.
Right.
RO. So the pilot's not like that.
And our pilot showed up yesterday?
Yes, it did.
And that's our first pilot? We're doing two, correct?
Yes, yep. Wigan is the name of the company, they're from Minnesota. And they'll be down here tomorrow to get it set up and hopefully run by Friday.
Okay. So then, other than changing your pipe cutter up to the positive of 2,000, do we have anything else?
No, not that I know right now.
Rich, would you make the case for heading back to concrete for well 14?
Well, I love it.
That was a point of contention, I thought, at committee level, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. You said it was always supposed to be in there?
I assumed it was in there on the bid, and it wasn't. But everything else has got, I mean, well, I guess, well, 10 is not concrete, but everything else is concreted up to it, except for 14. I guess that's why I assumed it was actually in on the quote.
Okay.
So-
Is it just convenience for navigating around that well? Is that?
Well, you're gonna, I mean, when we actually do this stone, now you're gonna be pushing rock all over into the grass and having to clean off in the spring. You know, when they go to pull the well, which is gonna be in 6 years to inspect it, and that, you're gonna be backing up on rock instead of on concrete. And it's more of a choice than a need.
But it's also weather dependent. I mean, when you got soft.
Well, if you
mushy
come
ground-
in, the days you pull in the fall, you come in and it ain't froze, yeah, you're gonna sink. They're not gonna get in there very easily to pull that well, but. I didn't think that the 23,000 was too bad for the concrete out there myself. When we paid 10,000 to have them fix Highway 3, we made I thought that price was really.
And that's a
really good.
bid, that's a bid at
That's a,
23.
that's a bid, yes.
Yeah.
How long was it good for?
I don't know.
A week?
All right. I got it
Let's
right here.
decide.
Who was it? Specialized?
Specialized, yeah, yep.
Well, I mean, what would fluctuate would be the concrete price, because the labor would be 100% the same, so the only thing would be the concrete fluctuation rate.
Yeah. So that guy had to do yours here. I don't have it here now, sorry. I think that you threw it out, so I took it out of my folder.
Is there a decision on that, or?
I'm open. If it's deemed, I can go either way on it.
I would say since we have a surplus of revenue there, I would add it back, but that's just my take, you know.
Jacob doesn't like to add things back.
I know, I don't.
Hey, we took 195 out.
Yeah.
You added 2 for the saw, though.
Oh. Give me 21.
Done.
Okay, we'll add it back in.
Right, could you just round it up to 25 or something,